The month of May is officially over, so I am here to tell you how everything went for Me Made May of 2024. Hello! Welcome to Show and Tell Meg. I'm Megan and I like to make things. I deliberately took a video and a photo every day of everything that I wore, and I would like to show you what I actually wore throughout this entire month. Okay, so now you've seen everything that I wore in the month, and if you are interested, I have a coordinating blog post where I actually put links to all the different things that I wore, and I will list that down in the description box below if you want more information about any of the things that I did wear. I love participating in Me Made May. I have participated in Me Made May, I believe, since the beginning. Very long time ago, even when I wasn't keeping up with blogging or on YouTube, which is just new this year, I still did it because I love the challenge of making sure that I'm wearing things that I made, looking at them in a different way, trying to make sure just that I reach that goal of wearing something I made every day. And that was my main goal this year. I don't put heavy goals on myself with Me Made May. I like to just make sure that I'm wearing at least one thing that I made every day. And I am proud to say that I achieved that once again. It's always a little interesting as time goes on. I'm one who I like to make my garments to last. I don't want to make something like fast fashion and wear it a few times and then push it to the side. If I've gone through the effort and the time and the money of making it myself, I put the time and the effort into making it very durable, or I mend it, or all of those kinds of things. I finish my inside seams to where they're going to wash very well. And as such, I have clothes that I made over a decade ago that I still wear all the time. And I'm proud to say that I wore several of those items in Me Made May this month. That said, my size has changed quite a bit in the last 12 years of me making clothes for myself. And so there are a lot of things that are completely factored out. They've just gotten too big for me. And that's just a fact of life. That's something that happens to all of us. Even so, I was surprised at some of the things that I could still wear, even though I technically made them when I was a little bit bigger. And then I was surprised at a few things that I made not too long ago that were a little bit tight in the waist, and so I didn't end up wearing. And I deliberately took a video and a photo every day of everything that I wore, but I'm pretty happy with how things went. Did I repeat a lot of things? You bet. Did I pull some things out of the back of the closet, though, that haven't been worn in ages? Also, yes. This is one of them. I have not worn this. I can't even think of the last time that I wore this. I knit this years ago, part of a knit along, and it's cute, but it's just not quite a style that I reach for all the time. I like to wear it like this. I think it looks awkward when it's crossed on the front. You know, it never wants to sit straight, just like you saw there. But open, it's cute. And now that it's not quite so tight, I think it looks even better. So I'm happy to have rediscovered this sweater. Unfortunately, because I live in Central Florida and it is May, which is when things are decidedly hot, I did not get to wear very many sweaters at all. I think I have one or two on the list, and they were pretty much just cover-ups while I was chilly at work, and then they came off if I went outside. And so May isn't always the best time of year for me to fully embrace all the different things that I've made because I've made so many sweaters. Through the fall and the winter, I wear the daylights out of my sweaters. I make it a point to wear them because I know I'm not going to get to the rest of the year. But in the summer, it is just way too hot. So that didn't get to happen. One of the extra projects that I did for Me Made May was to fix the issue with this sweater. So I made this sweater last summer, and it ended up being the fastest sweater I've ever knit. It took me, I think, 6 days to knit this sweater because it's made in a worsted weight yarn. This is the Liesel pattern by Isolde Teague, and it was just so quick. The entire thing is lace. It's a feather and fan stitch, very simple to knit, and it was really fun to knit, and so I slapped this thing out really fast. However, the way the pattern is written, it tells you off to the side like, oh, if you want buttons, factor that in. And I was just trying to knit so fast that I didn't pay attention to those extra directions, and so I didn't knit any buttonholes, which at the time, I don't know why that didn't cross my mind, but when I was nearing the end, I'm like, oh crud, there's no buttonholes. To remedy that, I decided to just put buttons on top and then put snaps underneath. And that worked fine. I had 2 purpley colored buttons that I thought looked cute, and I sewed those on in these 2 spaces, and then I put clear snaps on the back, those clear plastic ones that Dritz makes. And I thought the clear would work best because of it being a knit sweater. I didn't want to see the buttons. It did not work out great. If you've ever used those plastic clear snaps, then you'll know why this was an issue. This is a worsted weight yarn, and it's not extremely heavy, this whole sweater. That was the whole reason I made it. It was a great stash bust because I had a limited amount of this yarn. However, it was way too heavy for those snaps to actually snap and hold. And with this shape, it's great on other people, but I have very sloped shoulders. And so the fact that this doesn't have a set-in sleeve, it's a circular yoke, and then the sleeves are just grown on from there. So there is no structure up top to keep things sitting where they're supposed to on my body. And so it just slides down. And as I would wear it, it would slide more and more. And it would literally be like hanging down here. My armpit would be down here as I was wearing it because the buttons wouldn't stay closed at the center front to keep it on my shoulders. There was nothing holding it on. I have always planned on taking those clear snaps off and replacing them with good vintage metal snaps. And I finally, the week before the end of Me Made May, sat down and decided to do it. And so I changed the snaps. I also never loved how it was only 2 buttons at the top here. I thought it looked a little silly, like it just looked off balance and needed a little more. So I unpicked those original buttons and I found these. And interesting to me, like looking at this now, I mean, it looks fine, but I have a 4th button. And I was trying to decide at the time if I just add a 4th one. Hopefully this isn't making my mic sound terrible, but I have another button that would basically end up being about right here. Like, is that, it's under the boobs, you know? So does that make it look more balanced? I don't know. Comment below and let me know your opinion. I would love to see what you think. If I should just keep it as the 3 and have it more open like this, or if I should add that 4th. I mean, looking at this, I'm kind of leaning towards adding the 4th. And if so, it takes just a few minutes. It's not a big deal. So I'm happy to have this back in rotation, particularly since this is a cotton linen blend and it's summertime. Like ideally, this is the time that I would get to wear this sweater. So yay for a stretch goal on mending something that was a really quick job, but was something I've been intending on fixing for a year. I was also able to accomplish a couple of my stretch goals for Me Made May. I did not finish my black New England dress. We'll get to that later. It's long sleeved. I'm not going to get to wear it till the end of the year anyway, so I just couldn't get motivated. But I did mend my Liesel sweater, and I finished knitting my Dalloway blouse, and I actually even wore it. So I had no idea if I was actually going to be able to make that happen, but I did. And so I'm pretty proud with the timing on that. On that reel that I just put up, you'll definitely see some trends. And there are some pieces that I wore the daylights out of. And the patterns that I wore the most, undoubtedly, were the Holly Burns skirt by Sewaholic Patterns, and then the gable top by Jennifer Lauren Handmade. Interestingly, I did think I was going to wear my gable tops a bit more than I did. I definitely wore them more than anything else, but that's also because I've made more than anything else currently that fits me. So, you know, when you're working with limited numbers of things, you end up wearing the same things relatively often. And I don't have any problem with that. I didn't wear things back to back. There was one week where I did wear my burgundy Melissa skirt 2 days in a row. I didn't see anybody who would have known. And it's just one of my favorite skirts. It's so comfortable. So I don't really care. The other unsung hero of my wardrobe this past month were my thrifted blue jean skirts, which I have 3 that I show in all of the different things that I made. One of which is it's looking pretty worn. It's very faded. It doesn't quite fit me right anymore, but I don't have anything to replace it with yet. And so I still wear it. Another is what was a very dark elastic waist vintage LL Bean skirt from the 90s that I got at a thrift store. And it's still good, but I liked it a lot better when it was darker. So I may look into dyeing that again. We're going to see. But that brings me to the things that I have planned on making now that I know what is missing from my wardrobe. Interestingly, I pulled a very old make out of my closet that I still love the look of, and I'll put a video of just that piece up here. It's the Jasmine Top by Colette Patterns, and I made that way back in my sewing career, and I knew that there were things about my body that needed extra fitting, but I didn't know what those things were. I didn't know how to achieve that very well. And so I pinched and squeezed and did the best I could. But the reality is, while the shirt looks really cute, I really like how that shirt turned out. It does not fit correctly. The facing inside wants to flop out because of the way that the neckline is pulling. The facing isn't long enough for inside of there. And so it just wants to constantly pull out. I'm always tucking it in. It twists as I wear it because of how I have a hollow chest and I needed it to be narrow right here. Because of how I did that, it pulls in weird ways. And so it's really unfortunate because in the photos, the shirt is super cute. I would totally wear this shirt even now, but it's just not comfortable to wear. So I would really like to recreate that, but actually make it fit my body correctly. In answer to needing blue jean skirts, I would really like to make a Melissa or 2. The Melissa skirt is absolutely my favorite skirt pattern. I know that it doesn't seem like that because I wore so many Holly Burns, but it's because my Melissas no longer fit me or they had a stain on them or something like that. So I only have one that is in rotation now. It's my burgundy one. And the only reason that one's in rotation is because of where the side seams are. I was able to take in that skirt to fit me, or else it would have been out of rotation too. So I have planned for a really long time to make more Melissas. They're just a great pattern. And so I really want to make at least a basic blue jean version of that. I have some really cool printed denim too that I kind of want to make in that pattern. So that's definitely something that's going to be coming in the future. I've been planning on making those for years, and I would really like to make that happen. It is also blatantly clear that there is a big lack of cute print dresses in my rotation this year for Me Made May. I usually use Me Made May as the opportunity to pull out my kind of funky, what I call mod cloth style quilting cotton print dresses that I've made over the years that I don't wear to work. So I don't wear them all the time, but I'll wear them to church and things like that. And there's only 2 of them, I think, that fit me really. I think I only wore one of them. I pulled my first one I ever made out of the closet and I tried it on and it was a little loose and it just didn't really feel like me anymore. I don't know. I mean, I did make that over 10 years ago, so I can't really blame myself, but I took it off and I put something else on instead. And I would like to remedy that. I really like having those funky cotton print dresses, and I have so much fabric with which to make them. So I don't know. It's kind of sad that I didn't really get to wear them very much. And I even technically have a pattern that still fits. My take a seat dress and the don't let the bird do the dishes dress are made from Simplicity 1419, which is a Lizette pattern. I tweaked that pattern quite a bit when I made it, and it was a little snug when I made those, and now it kind of fits great on both of those. So I would like to maybe use that as the base again and slap out a few more. I have so many cute prints that I would love to have available to actually wear. So that's definitely on the list. Another really old make that I really enjoyed having was my Peggy skirt, which unfortunately, if you are newer to sewing, you won't even know what this pattern company is because she's no longer around. But this was Blue Ginger Doll Patterns. I loved her patterns. They had a vintagey style to them, but things in her life happened and she decided to close down. And so you can no longer buy them. But I love this skirt. It's a high-waisted skirt with a slight bubble to it. It has a thick waistband at the top. It's got pockets that stand away from your body, and I can make it in whatever length I want. And I have this one that is a mystery linen whatever that I got at a thrift store. I don't know if it has any actual linen in it, but it's so light to wear that I feel like maybe it does. But it's definitely a blend with polyester of some kind because it does not wrinkle like linen. So that skirt, even though it's like a good 2 inches too loose at the waist, I cover everything with a longer shirt anyway. I don't tuck my clothes in. And so you can't see the waistband and the fact that it's loose. And I have such a drastic bump out for my hips that it stays in place just fine. And so I've been able to wear that skirt even though it technically is a decent bit too big for me now. And I couldn't wear any of my other ones because they looked a little silly. They were way too big. But I would really like to pull that pattern out and size it down a little and make one to embrace the fact that I love this shape and maybe make it in an actual linen. That would be cool. I have some colored linens that would be pretty. So that's on the list. I also really liked wearing my Fiori that has the button front. I've made the closet case Fiori pattern in the wrap style and in the button front style. And I like the wrap style, but it's not as practical for me since it only has one pocket. It's a huge pocket, don't get me wrong, but at work, I'm right-handed, and the fact that there is no right pocket, it takes like an extra oh, and I have to remember that everything is in the left. And so I just tend to not want to reach for them as much. They're fine for going out, when I don't need access to things in my pockets, but at work I do. And so I really like my button front one, but it's made in a mustard linen. And I didn't think about the fact that linen will bag out. And so the pockets end up very droopy dog-eared looking at the end of the day if I put anything in them. So I would really like to make that in a cotton of some kind, something that's not going to sag. Or if I make it in a linen, to line those pockets with a cotton or something more stable just to prevent that sagging. I think that would be a really good idea too. I'm also always in the market for solid colored, cute shirts, t-shirts. I have several charm patterns on my list that I really want to make. I want to make the Hepburn with the rolled collar. And I want to make the Gardner top. I have some ideas for making that one. I'm a Patreon member of Charm Patterns, and so I have all these really cute vintage style t-shirts, and I haven't made any of them. So I would like to use those. I don't know. There's no lack of patterns in my stash to make these things. It's more just buckling down and getting it done. And I have plenty of fabric with which to do it. So I want to really start making things for the new shape and size that I am so that I can have a little more fun with the things that I wear. So yeah, another May has come and gone, and I'm really happy with how it went, especially considering the limitations that I had this year compared to previous years. I had a lot fewer clothes available to wear, but I wore most all of the things that I made in the last year at least a few times. So I'm pretty happy with that. There were very few items that didn't get worn unless they were more of a warm weather item. So that was nice that I definitely am making things that I enjoy wearing. That's always nice to have the confirmation of that. I do wear things more when I have coordinated other pieces to wear with them. I tend to wear separates more. It's just what's more comfortable for me. And when I have made a shirt that goes with a skirt that I recently made, I will get so much more wear out of it. And so that's something that I need to take into account when I am planning. If I'm making a certain type of shirt, I need to make sure that I also have a skirt that it can go with, because realistically, that's just what I wear. That is what I have learned this year for Me Made May. I am sure I will be participating again next year, and I hope that by then I have more things at my disposal to mix and match, and that I can take the things that I learned this month from having a more limited wardrobe and put them into practice, fill in the gaps, make it to where there are more things that I enjoy that I have made and that they are exactly what I want. If you participated in Me Made May, I would love to see what you learned. If you made a video or a blog post, please comment it below. I would love to check it out myself, and I'm sure others would too. If you liked this, please do give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you want to see more. I will be making lots of things in the coming months because I have plenty of things to sew now, and I look forward to seeing you then. So I hope that you had a wonderful Me Made May, and thanks very much for watching.